Hey kiddos, hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all are healthy and happy. Welcome to what's going to be the last assignment for world history for this school year. Obviously, it's been an unconventional end to the school year, but I'm encouraging all of you to end on a strong note, on a high note, and head into the summer feeling good about your participation and head into the summer feeling good about where you are as far as world history and where you are in our class. Let's go ahead and check out what you have going on this week. And let me get rid of me. And here we go. Very similar to last week. We're going to continue on with globalization, only this week we're going to bring in the environment. A lot of you have been sending me messages wanting to get more information about environmentalism and how environmentalism plays a factor into history, and not just any type of history, but world history especially. So as you see right here on the screen, it's going to start off in a very extremely similar fashion as last week's assignment. So you'll start off by looking and getting acquainted with some of the vocabulary for this week. We have globalization, export, greenhouse gas, rising sea levels, import, population growth, environment, interconnectedness, climate change, consumption, climate change refugee, migration. All of these words are extremely important to understand, not just in our class, but they are extremely important to understand as you move forward in your future. You are all going to get a job someday. You're all going to maybe go to school. All of you are going to do something other than learn high school stuff. The goal here is to take some of this information with you and do some good with it in your futures. Whether you're a college student, whether you are in a career, whether you're a parent, whatever you choose to be, use some of the information that you're learning to do some good in the world. And the first thing you can do is understand some of this stuff. So everything from globalization all the way on to migration, let's start talking about these words. So just like last week, you'll go in and you're going to number them. You're going to rate them 1 to 5, depending on how well you know these words, using this list right here. Section 2, you'll find a visual representation for that word. So you have globalization, export, all the way down. And you'll use that visual, that symbol, and locate it right here in that box. So you'll do that, and that's your vocab for this week. Now, right here, you have this PowerPoint. All you have to do is click on the blue, and it's going to take you to this PowerPoint right here. I just want you to read through it. I'm not going to do anything else but read through it and try to understand why globalization has impacted our environment. What are some things that have caused our environment to go the way it is because of globalization? There's a couple videos in here. I highly encourage you to watch these. They will help you understand some of these things. This last one right here, it's actually a 45-minute documentary about rising sea levels. If you have the time, again, I highly encourage you to check this out. So that's the PowerPoint I want you to view. And if you view those videos as well, it's going to help you understand these questions that we have. You're going to respond to the prompts below with what you know or what you've heard about climate change. Climate change is one of those terms that, again, many of you know what it is, but many of you may not understand what it is. You may have heard people talking about it. You may have heard people say climate change is a problem. You may have heard people say, oh, climate change is not a problem. It's now your job to educate yourself on climate change. That way you can come up with your own thoughts, opinions, and ideas about it. So things such as what is it, what causes it, and what are the effects of it. When you scroll down, you have our first issue. Climate change is a long-term increase in the Earth's overall temperature. And I'm not necessarily talking about, oh, it's a hot day today. It's much greater than that. When you talk about the Earth heating, we're talking about permanent ramifications or challenges for life on our planet. Outside of human beings, we're talking about animal life. We're talking about plant life. Over time, this can increase gas emissions that heat the earth, and that has an issue and presents a problem to human beings and animals alike. So we have another video right here. My man Bill Nye, the science guy, he's going to talk about climate change right here. But I also want you to view these graphs right here. Take a look at the greenhouse emissions. Take a look at the world energy use since 1972. There's similarities here. View what those similarities are. As you go down, you'll learn more about population growth. There's more people on Earth now. How is that affecting society? How is that affecting things like globalization? How is that affecting climate change? View this little graphic right here and you'll find out just exactly how this is affecting climate change. Here's some questions right here. Again, what is climate change? What causes it? What are the effects of it? As well as what does population growth and globalization have to do with climate change? So I'll answer those questions right there. We'll talk about water scarcity. Scarcity is a word that means we don't have enough water. There's a lack of water in the world. So we'll learn about that. You'll take a look at how water supply affects different societies and different countries throughout the world, and you'll answer the questions right below right here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. We'll also talk about food security. We'll talk about the world needs to produce 50% more food in order to feed a larger population. So how are we doing that? What are the effects of that? How does climate change play a role in that? We'll talk about the long-term effects and mental well-being of young people who are eating less nutritious food, how that affects families for generations. You'll find all that out in this reading right here. Go ahead and view this graphic and then answer the questions below. The questions are going to be very similar to the questions you've seen prior to this. And then we'll also talk about deforestation. We have a nice little video here for you. You'll answer some of the questions on deforestation. You'll take a look at the graph right here. That'll also help you understand deforestation and answer the questions below. We'll also talk about migration patterns. If you get to migration patterns, awesome. If you don't worry about it. If you get there again, awesome. If you don't, do not worry about it. However, if you do get to it, I think a lot of you will see a lot of similarities to what we've learned about already in world history, but also some similarities to maybe your own lives or the people you're surrounded by in your community. And then right down here, our assessment. What effect has population growth and globalization had on the environment, and how might changes in environment affect us? So you're just going to find two different effects. Okay, what's one thing that population growth and globalization has had on the environment? Talk about those two effects, describe them to me, tell me how it was caused by population growth, how it was caused by globalization, how could it affect the future? Again, these are your answers and your answers alone. So this is going to be your final week right here. This is going to be your final assignment, I should say, for the week. This is going to be your final assignment for the school year. Questions, reach out to me. I'll be talking to y'all a little bit next week, not necessarily with work, but just to kind of end our year on a somewhat positive note, even though it hasn't been a very positive few months for a lot of us. But for the time being, just go ahead and focus on this work for this week. If you have questions, as always, reach out to me. And miss y'all. Hopefully I get to see you soon. Have a great week.